Motorcycle Grand Prix continues. Caparossi being honored at Victory Lane on the podium for his win in the 250cc class. And interesting, the last two winners here at Laguna of that race have gone on to the 500s. Luca Catalora in 1991 and John Kaczynski in 1990 and 89. Again, a look at your top five. Harada, the point leader, moving up to fifth. I said sixth, moving up to fifth at the finish, but still losing the point lead to Caparossi with one race to go. That coming up in October. Walking along to the interview tent, and the assembled journalists from around the world. A lot of get well wishes for Wayne Rainey here, as appropriate, at his home circuit. Many of these fans have come here hoping to see Wayne clinch a fourth world championship. We'll move on to our 500cc coverage and begin that when Dave Sadowski filed this report earlier on these massive machines.
This is the Team Roberts Marlboro Yamaha 500 that will be ridden by Luca Catalora. The weight limit in this class is 286 pounds. The tuners tell me that the engine produces in excess of 170 horsepower. The four-cylinder two-stroke machines are very hard to handle, and riders, the best riders in the United States, have to go on the Grand Prix Tour for a full season before they can match their skill to the capabilities of this awesome machine.
Pretty high-tech and pretty expensive. What's one of those worth?
It's untouchable. I don't think if you had, I think what you have to do is come up with $1 million plus sponsor from Marlboro, and then you might be able to go shopping for one.
Some of the parts on that motorcycle, Dan Gurney, when he had Indy cars. Now, of course, he has the Toyota IMSA GTP machines. When he had Indy cars, they had some trick parts, and they said, well, what are those made of? And Dan said, unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
A lot of unobtainium on these high-tech motorcycles. Our coverage from Laguna Seca, California continues on Prime Network right after these messages. Action is on Prime Network with Fast Track Thursday. Highlights, reviews, and profiles of the week's top races can be found on Prime. If it's hot and fast, you'll see it on Fast Track Thursday every week on most of these Prime affiliates. Near Monterey, California at Laguna Seca. Welcome back to our coverage of the United States Motorcycle Grand Prix. I'm Mike Joy. Peter Clifford, who covers this sport for The Guardian, the daily newspaper in London, and for Road Racing World here in the U.S. Dave Sadowski, former winner of the Daytona 200. One of the nation's top riders, sitting to my right, Terry Vance, top tuner, and Steve Evans, who's had a wrench in his hand a time or two down on pit road. Let's get down with Terry and the man who will be the new world champion.
Thanks, Mike. Listen, I'm with Kevin Schwantz down here, and it's kind of exciting for me to be with Kevin, tell you the truth, to see him go through all the years of racing and now be the new world champion for motorcycle racing for 1994. And Kevin, I tell you, there's so many fans here, so happy to see you just ride around here no matter where you finish. How does this make you feel to be in this position finally?
Well, Terry, really good. You know, it's a big monkey off our back. I'm really happy for myself and even more so for the team and everybody that's stood behind me for so long.
Yeah, you know, Kevin, you've had so many ups and a few downs here, falling off and things like that. And, you know, it's so nice for the people just to be so happy for you to be in this position. I know the pressure from being a racer myself. It's kind of a relief to get over that hump and now really just think about being a better racer.
It is. It's great to have eventually done it. And I think now our biggest concentration is going to be on trying to defend the title. It was a real hard one to ever win, and right now I think our biggest goal is to try and defend it.
Well, listen, I know you want to concentrate on this race, Kevin, and I'll tell you, I think I can say this for everybody. We're really thrilled to have you in this position, and good luck today.
Thank you very much, Terry.
He's had a great rise, and it will be a great celebration this year. Mick Doohan has qualified on the pole. A message for the defending champ, Wayne Rainey, from the Australian. As you saw at the top of our show, Mick had a big off at the top of the corkscrew yesterday in one of the last laps, his last lap certainly, of the qualifying session. After he got a ride back to the paddock area, Terry Vance caught up with Mick Doohan.
Mick, I know that that's kind of tough, setting the fast time and then getting on the pole and then having a problem. Tell us what happened.
It's just coming into the corkscrew and the thing fell into neutral. And before I could even grab the clutch to roll through it, it hooked first, and you normally go through there in second. and I've gone into neutral instead of second going into the turn, and then I'm rolling in, and all of a sudden it dropped into first, and it just locked the back wheel up and threw me over the top. But, you know, luckily we didn't hurt ourselves. And we didn't have much time to go, and, you know, the bike's all right. We only broke some foot rests. And, you know, I know exactly what happened, so it's not such a big problem, and only that we crashed, that's the biggest problem.
Well, you know, Mick, you look like you were on the gas out there. Did you know Kaczynski was behind you on that fast lap?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't know who was behind me or what was happening, but, you know, I was more concerned about myself and just trying to do what I could do.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And, well, good luck tomorrow, okay, Mick?
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Looked remarkably composed for a fellow that had just had a near 100-mile-an-hour off a motorcycle not 10 minutes before that interview. But that sentiment that he's holding certainly is expressed by all of us here at Laguna Seca and in the sport. Well, let's go down with the man who will start second in his home Grand Prix. Here's Steve Evans.
Thank you, Mike. John Kaczynski, obviously the same thoughts to Wayne Rainey. You've got a wonderful starting position here, and this is a very important race for you to kind of reestablish yourself on this bullet-fast Kajiva.
Yeah, we're happy to be here on the front row, and, you know, Wayne's it's always been a friend of mine, and I wish he was here today, but I'm going to go out and do the best I can for him, and hope we can win this thing.
I think virtually every rider here is dedicating this win if they take it to Wayne.
Yeah, I know I am, and I'll be doing my best for him, as you know, as well as Kajiva and everybody. But as I say, I wish he were here, but you know, things happen, and I hope he has a speedy recovery.
Have a safe ride.
Thank you,
Mike.
Thanks, Steve. Kaczynski will start second. He qualified just about a tenth of a second back of Mick Doohan at 126.4. Kaczynski at 126.5. Coming into this penultimate round of the World Championship, Kevin Schwantz has 5 points over the sidelined Wayne Rainey. Mick Doohan well back. Darrell Beattie, Luca Catalora, Rainey's teammate, in fifth in the 500cc standings.
And it's Catalora who's really impressed at the end of the season. He won the British Grand Prix. He was second in Brno, and then he won last weekend.
So we're coming up on the start of the 500cc World Championship round here in the United States. Stay with us. About 10 minutes ago, the 500cc riders completed their sighting lap. You see them right side of the screen on the grid getting ready for their warm-up. Peter, give us a look at the season to date.
Well, really, Kevin Schwantz started off the season with a stormer, a fabulous victory in Australia, but Rainey wasn't far behind him, and then put in 2 great rides in Malaysia and Japan before it was Schwantz again, and really it was just the two of them at the start of the season until Darrell Beattie put in his first Grand Prix win in his first full Grand Prix season at the ultra-fast Hockenheimring in Germany. Then it was back to Schwantz in Holland, and at that point in the series it really just was looking like a Schwantz-Rainey battle. And Rainey put one over on Kevin at the European Grand Prix in Spain, and then at San Marino Grand Prix in Italy it was Doohan's turn. But it wasn't until the British Grand Prix at Donington that things started to get the big shake-up, and that was when Kevin was knocked off on the first lap of the race, and Catalora did the unbelievable. He overtook Wayne Rainey with just a lap or two to go to beat his teammate across the line. Not really a dead popular move in the Roberts camp, but it all went the other way in Checo the following weekend when Wayne Rainey won and Catalora finished second. And that was when Rainey really started to pull away, you know, make his championship look very good, and of course it all came to nothing last weekend in Italy.
The final round of the championship in October will be in Spain as we're set for the warm-up lap.
And we're looking back from Doug Chandler's machine now, forward from Doug Chandler's Kajiva. Doug on the second row of the grid. We're looking forward to the front row. On your right of the screen, that's Kevin Schwantz. In the middle, Alex Barris. And now with Neil Mackenzie back on the third row of the grid. He's looking forward, in fact, to Doug Chandler. And there's, out the back of Neil's machine, are the 2 Yamaha France machines. The pace lap begins. This is the warm-up lap.
Now, the riders can take this lap entirely at their own pace, whatever they choose.
Yeah, they can elect to just cruise around if they want, but there's a lot of necessities that need to take place on this lap, and that's basically just getting both sides of the tire as hot as you can, cleaning out the excess residue that might be built up in the combustion chambers of these 500s, being 2-stroke engines, and they have to be revved out clean before the start. That's very important also on this lap, Mike.
So it's not a structured lined-up pace lap as you would see in other forms of motorsport here in America. 4 wide on each row. Up front, Mick Doohan, the Australian on Honda, John Kaczynski from Little Rock, Arkansas, Alex Barros on Suzuki, and Kevin Schwantz. In row number 2, Luca Cadalora on the Yamaha, Darrell Beatty on Honda, Doug Chandler from Salinas on the Kajiva, and Shinichi Ito, Honda mounted. Row number 3, Alex Crevier on Honda, John Reynolds, the Harris Yamaha, Neil Mackenzie, the ROC Yamaha, and Michael Rudroff, a Harris Yamaha.
And it's Rudroff who takes the place on the grid of Freddie Spencer. Freddie Spencer actually qualified in 12th place, but in the final qualifying session, the 3-times world champion broke bones in his wrist and his ankle, and he's out for the rest of the season. So Rudroff moved up the grid a place.
A tough afternoon yesterday. The former champion, Freddie Spencer, out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Past winners of this race, Eddie Lawson, and then this became the Wayne Rainey Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and only American winners at home here.
In fact, Luca Cadalora, when he won the 250 race in '91, became the only non-American rider to win a U.S. Grand Prix round here.
And of course, Luca now moved up to the 500 class. He's already won 2 Grand Prix this season, and he's the man on the boil at the moment. But he's not on the front row of the grid. He's on the second. Nearest to camera, Kevin Schwantz, the new world champion. Alex Barros, John Kaczynski, Mick Doohan. And the red flag is up. They're waiting for the grid to form up. The flagman now satisfied that everybody's in position. The revs rise. The red light's on. It's going to go to green. It goes. A great start from Kaczynski. Kaczynski leads on the run into the first corner. The Kajiva leads. It's the Italian, the red Kajiva, that leads from Mick Doohan. Kevin Schwantz in second place. Alex Barros, good start from Doug Chandler, looking for a way round Barros. But it's John Kaczynski that leads the US Grand Prix, and already storming away from Mick Doohan on the Honda.
Kaczynski beautifully anticipated the green light.
He sure did. He's also adapting to this Kajiva very quickly. To set second fast time here with Winnipeg is just an astonishing accomplishment.
And we're on bike with Neil Mackenzie. He's chasing Shinichi Ito and Darrell Beatty on this first lap, and it's still Kaczynski on the red machine.
Oh, and a big off at turn 4. Between 4 and 5, one rider toward the back of the pack and off in a big way in front of our position.
And that's, I think it's Pedicini.
That's 36. That'll be Pedicini, you're right.
Luca Pedicini, one of the privateers at the tail of the field. But on the run up to the corkscrew, it looks to me it's still Kaczynski on the number 3 Kajiva that leads. Doohan in second place. Kaczynski from Doohan, Schwantz, Barros, Chandler. Then Luca Cadalora. John Kaczynski on the all-red Kajiva. A perfect start. Only his 3rd ride on this machine. He's had 2 4th places. He switched to the Kajiva team after a mutual disagreement, shall we say, with the 250 Suzuki squad, and left them mid-season.
Back to turn 2. After completing the first lap, the safety car has gone out for Pedicini. That corner, turn number 4, is under caution. The rest of the course remains green.
Now the fact you will see as they come out of this corner, they will get a yellow flag from the turn marshals. It means that no one should overtake, and we're on bike with Chandler chasing Barros through the corner. We saw the crash just a lap ago, and there was the doctor's car on the left of the circuit tending to the fallen rider. Doug Chandler on the second Kajiva, but up front the number 3 Kajiva and Kaczynski coming under increasing pressure from Mick Doohan and Kevin Schwantz.
Schwantz is easy to spot from the rear. He's got that big yellow paint splash on the back of his helmet. Otherwise, it's kind of traditionally styled.
On bike with Chandler, on his way up to the corkscrew, chasing that lead group. Chasing Alex Barros. But there's the leader, John Kaczynski.
John looks tremendously comfortable on this motorcycle, and he looks very comfortable in the lead as well. But he's a man on a mission this weekend, fellas. He's wanting to try to secure some interest for next year's position, and he's going to prove to everybody that he's capable of running up front with any one of these top stars.
He is feeling the pressure, though, from Doohan on the Rothmans Honda, Suzuki-mounted Kevin Schwantz, and Alex Barros.
Now, Kajiva has never won, let me say, a straight-run, dry Grand Prix. Eddie Lawson won a race for them last year, but that was a wet, dry race, and Eddie did the good job of picking the right tire. Schwantz goes around the outside of Doohan into second. The world champion, number 34, Kevin Schwantz, snatches second place from pole sitter Mick Doohan.
Gutsy move there on the outside, Steve.
It sure was. Kevin Schwantz, I think all the Americans can applaud now.
American riders running 1-2. No foreign rider has ever won a 500cc Grand Prix here at Laguna.
This is going to shape up to be a great battle. Two of the most high-spirited riders up here leading this race.
And Schwantz already closing on Kaczynski. Number 34, Kevin Schwantz. He hasn't got anything to prove, he said before the race. He's just going to take it as it comes, but of course, he's a fighter.
And Kaczynski, this racetrack owes him a little. He has something to prove here.
Barros inside Doohan. Doohan pushed back to fourth, so it's Suzuki 1 and second and third now. Alex Barros having passed Mick Doohan, so I don't know whether Doohan has got problems.
No, I think he's just being cautious that thing stayed in second gear that time through the corkscrew.
Your leader, Kaczynski, as he comes through 11 and heads up the front straightaway. 2 years here when this Grand Prix was last run at Laguna. Coming up and over the hill at turn 1 and into the braking zone at 2. Kaczynski, teammate to Wayne Rainey at the time, had a big off, went off the cycle in a big way right here
and
under braking.
And he was followed at the time by Kevin Schwantz. And Schwantz looking for the inside line. He's really pressuring Kaczynski already.
Coming out of that corner, these guys have got to loft the wheel because they're accelerating so hard. And they crossed it up to actually get the bike turned over to the right. John Kaczynski, when he fell down, his wheel landed when it was crossed up and just the bike just squirted out from underneath him.
And Kaczynski complained that he was lacking on acceleration with the Kajiva and having to accelerate much earlier than he wanted to. And Schwantz goes up the inside. Great move from Kevin Schwantz. Takes the lead of the US Grand Prix on the Lucky Strike Suzuki and squirts on up the hill away from John Kaczynski.
So Schwantz on 34, Kaczynski on 3, Barros number 9, and Mick Doohan number 2 are the breakaway riders with 3 of 33 laps complete.
Suzuki, Kajiva, Suzuki, and then a Honda. A lot of the manufacturers being represented here in the top 5.
And just let's see if Kaczynski on the red Kajiva can respond to Schwantz. Schwantz not immediately pulling away. Kaczynski won't want to let him go. Closes in again.
This look from our Taco Bell aerial platform. You see the front 4 breakaway with Chandler in 5th, and they go into that tight turn 11.
What do you think, Ski? Is Schwantz really trying his all to get away from this group, or is he happy just to sit there for a little minute?
I think that Schwantz feels comfortable leading any race he's in. He just doesn't, I don't think he likes the obstruction of the view.
You heard that big cheer in the background as the American went past.
And now Kaczynski on the red Kajiva, coming under increasing pressure from Alex Barros. It could well be a Suzuki 1-2 in a minute. Schwantz leads from number 3 on the red Kajiva, John Kaczynski. But Barros is pressuring him.
John definitely suffering the drive off the corner. The Kajiva guys have got the top speed figured out, but they just haven't got the drive off the corner that the Suzuki has. And that's one of the benefits that Kevin Schwantz enjoys right now, is working with that Suzuki team over the many years that he's been with them. He's really got the bike working strong.
Not only he, but Barros on the number 9 Suzuki. You can see the difference in acceleration between he and Kaczynski, and Doohan on the Honda coming out of the corner. There's Schwantz, Kaczynski, Barros, and Doohan.
Now Doohan, he was the pole sitter. Now last weekend he was the fastest man on the track, got a bad start, blitzed through and almost challenged Catalora for the win. But he's got a good start this weekend, and the bike, well, Dave, is it working as well as it did in practice, do you think?
When I watch also Wayne Gardner and Dr. Mick Doohan, when I watch them ride their bike, it doesn't ever seem like they get the thing set up the way they want. It could be the power delivery from this Honda. The Honda being the 500 out there that uses a single crankshaft. The other bikes use twin crankshafts that contra-rotate and spin a shaft in the middle. I think it allows a more even power delivery and therefore a more rideable package.
So you think that while Doohan can put together the blindingly fast lap, still put himself on pole, when it comes to a race strategy, he's got problems?
Yes, definitely. And in a press meeting yesterday, Kevin Schwantz complained about a sore hand, but I believe he did take an injection before this race to offset some of the pain. So we're going to have to monitor his situation with his hand as well.
Barros just had a try there at Kaczynski for second place. But they are very, very close. Here's Steve Evans. Back with Steve in a moment. Second, third, and fourth very tight here. And it appears they're tracking away just a bit from Doohan. Barros had a look there.
Barros looks at the inside at the corkscrew. Barros goes into second. Dave, what a passing play.
It sure was, and he made it down the corkscrew in plenty of room. That was just a real gutsy maneuver by Alex Barros.
Well, gutsy, that's the word to describe Alex Barros. We've seen Alex do some incredibly gutsy things this year. He's come unstuck quite a few times, but, you know, let's hope he's calmed himself down just enough to put it all together for this race.
Didn't you say, Ski, a bit ago that was the one place you wouldn't want to try to pass?
That's right. He definitely put a surprise move on John Kaczynski, and he's actually pulled out about an 8-bike lead over him.
Now, Barros has led a couple of races this year, and as I said, crashed, and, you know, he's still looking for his first GP win, and I don't think there's any team orders here. If he can beat Kevin, he will do.
That's right. Kevin is far enough ahead in the points that no one can catch him for the World Championship in these 2 remaining rounds. So it's get what you can. Second, third, and fourth, Barros number 9, Kaczynski 3 on the Kajiva, and Doohan's Honda number 2. The second Kajiva, number 5, Doug Chandler. There's a look at Chandler leading Katalora on the Roberts Yamaha, number 7. And Beatty on the number 4 Rockford Honda.
And Katalora went inside Doug then, but Doug got the drive out of the corner and retook Katalora. So these guys having a good go at it. There's an Italian riding a Japanese machine and an American riding Italian. Right. Katalora right on the tail of the Kajiva, almost touching the rear wheel of Doug Chandler's Kajiva as they go over the corkscrew.
What a great shot. What a different line coming down the hill. The two of them look like Chandler was much wider through 8A there than was Katalora.
I think Katalora just pulling off to the side so he didn't run into Doug.
Defying gravity and physics. 500 cc's, what, 286 pounds, the motorcycle?
170 horsepower. These things are the fastest machines, I think, in racing. Formula One cars are fast, but these accelerate much quicker.
Riding with Doug Chandler, the former Superbike champ, and there goes Katalora. Again, he had to look inside, coming to turn 2. Chandler slammed the door.
Yes, now Doug was saying these 2 right-handers, the first of which he's gone through now, are causing him a bit of a problem because their flat corners don't have the camber of the rest of the circuit, and he's got a front-end handling problem here, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down too much at the moment. Maybe Catalora's got the same trouble.
5th, 6th, and 7th place here. Kajiva, Yamaha, and Honda. 7 of 33 laps are complete in the U.S. Motorcycle Grand Prix, and the new world champion, Kevin Schwantz, has the lead over Barros, Kaczynski, Doohan, and Chandler. Nine laps complete here at Laguna Seca. While we were away, Barros took the lead from Kevin Schwantz. His last lap 0.6 of a second quicker than Kevin's. And here's a look at it. Dipping to the inside. Schwantz back to second. There's Kaczynski third and Doohan fourth.
Coming through turn 5, Alex Barros carrying a lot of speed onto the old pavement section. Just makes the pass stick. He's actually pulling away from Kevin Schwantz.
Motivation. Barros was leading on the last lap of a Grand Prix. First victory in sight and went off.
Yeah, he managed that at Assen. He managed something similar in Spain. But he's going away from this group now. Schwantz still in second place under great pressure from Kaczynski. And Kaczynski up the inside looking to pass Schwantz. Yes, Kaczynski goes through on the red Kajiva into second place. But Schwantz has to drive out of the corner. Replay to them. Doohan up the outside. No room. No room at all for Doohan. But he does. He squeezes past Kaczynski. Oh my goodness. Kaczynski went from second to fourth in just a couple of 100 yards. Wow, what about that, Dave?
Big move by Mick Doohan. Able to keep ahead of Kaczynski, but not Schwantz.
Mick set that move up coming into turn 11 and almost got himself an elbow full of hay bale for his trouble. Kept his throttle twisted. Got up there going down into 2 in that braking zone. very intimidating part of this course.
Now, does Mick Doohan sense that Kevin Schwantz has a slight problem because Barros is going away? Is Schwantz dropping off the pace a bit? And Mick wants to win this one, of course. Isn't going to dither and dally behind Schwantz, wants to get after Barros.
I think these guys are pretty good friends, and they're probably comparing their physical hindrances, you know. Doohan having the leg he suffers with quite badly, and then Schwantz making mention of his hand giving him problems. But the thing I'd like to see here is Kaczynski. He's really not one to tolerate much of that banging around, and he'll go right back after you. And it looked as though Kevin Schwantz actually did brush into Kaczynski going through 10 to force Kaczynski wide and then forced him into passing him.
So they come back down the hill through 10. Backcourt 11, Doohan to second now. Schwantz in third, Kaczynski fourth, and Mick Doohan sets off toward Alex Barros, the leader. Does Kevin Schwantz have a problem? Let's check with Terry Vance.
Yeah, Mike, Kevin doesn't have a problem, but like Dave Sadowski said, he doesn't like that banging. He wants to get ahead of John Kaczynski. I talked to the members here in the crew, and they said that they want Kevin to move up, but it's really up to Kevin. As Dave said, he doesn't want to bang shoulders with John Kaczynski. He just wants to move up, but there's no problem with the bike, as they said.
There's Schwantz, the man who will be world champion this year.
We talked earlier about motorcycles coming off the corner. Watch Mick Doohan's bike accelerate up the corner. These Honda engineers have got so many secrets going on with this bike. This bike goes under a covered blanket each time it comes off the track, but there's nothing faster off the corner than that Honda NSR 500.
Doohan's exciting to watch ride, too. I mean, he's all extremities. Elbows, knees, and all out for balance as we watch the Taco Bell aerial platform. He really, I don't know if he throws the machine around that much or if it just appears that he does.
Yeah, he stays centered on the bike. He keeps his shoulders square with the handlebar and sort of forces it down with his lower torso, sort of the opposite of the way the Americans ride. But Kaczynski going under, oh, he decides to stay behind. He's not satisfied following Kevin Schwantz, I'll tell you that much.
And Doohan definitely now reeling in the leader, Alex Barros. Kaczynski goes wide, looks to the inside line on Schwantz. At the back there, number 3 can't do it, cannot pass number 34, Kevin Schwantz. But up ahead, Barros leads, and number 2, Mick Doohan goes after him.
I think Kaczynski is going to make a move stick. It's going to have to go up into the corkscrew and use the same move that Alex Barros put on himself to get around Kevin Schwantz.
Now, you're not telling me, Ski, that a Brazilian has come here and teaching an American how to go around Laguna Seca.
Did I say that, Peter?
Well, it's an Australian, Mick Doohan, who's just turned the fastest lap of the race, 1:27.1 around this 2.2 mile or 3.5 kilometer circuit. There's Schwantz in third, and we'll take a look back at 7th place rather. Catalora, Beatty on the blue number 4 Honda, Crevier.
And I noticed we've lost Chandler, but that's Neil Mackenzie chasing Crevier and Ito. We're on board with Neil Mackenzie with Ito and Crevier up ahead of you. Ito on the blue machine in the middle of that trio, chasing the 2 Hondas in front, chased by the Rock Yamaha. This is the first independent machine, the non-factory entered bike of Neil Mackenzie.
Neil Mackenzie came over in 1990 in the race where I won the Daytona 200. Unfortunately, he got knocked down by Jamie Deans and crashed out of it, but I was looking forward to learning from this guy. He's probably one of the most consistent riders out there on the track. Just a great ambassador for the sport as well.
And there's Mackenzie on that Valvoline Yamaha. There's Catalora.
And apart from a Honda Yamaha battle, this is also a Dunlop Michelin battle. The 2 machines ahead on Michelin's. Neil on the Dunlop Shod machine, so we'll see how that shapes up over the 33 laps.
We've talked a lot about riders and about their tuners, but Ski, you were telling me earlier when you won the Daytona 200, just how many people were involved in the preparation and the running of that one motorcycle for that one race.
In my own circumstances there at Daytona, I had to count the heads because I wanted to thank each and every one of them. It was the best day in my life in racing. 34 guys that had their hands on the machine, and over a dozen guys helped out with spotting and scoring.
Tremendous team effort.
Including my dad that wiped the windshield before the race.
Okay. Let's go back to the pits. Here's Steve. Now we'll try Steve again in a moment.
On bike with Neil Mackenzie, still chasing Crevier and Ito. Now, Crevier and Ito, they definitely have the power advantage. Neil's got to find something extra from within himself if he's going to beat the 2 factory men ahead. Crivier on the Marlboro Honda, an identical bike behind, but with the important difference, should I say, of fuel injection on Shinichi Ito's bike. The only bike in the race with fuel injection.
Is that the coming thing, or is the technology just not evolved enough for these machines?
It is the coming thing, but we've got Barros now under pressure from Mick Doohan. Barros that leads from Mick Doohan. Doohan on one of the factory Hondas, but that's still a carbureted bike.
About Mick Doohan, here's Terry Vance.
Mike, I talked to the Mick Doohan pits, and all three of the technicians told me that Mick Doohan's game plan for the race was to kind of ride around in the front pack for the first 5 or 6 laps, get the tires warmed up, and then make his move in about lap 10 or lap 11. So he's right on scale, and he's doing exactly what he said, and he is the fastest guy on the track right now.
Doohan on the Rothman Honda ran his last lap at a minute 27 flat. This one he's just completed, a minute 27.3 now that he's caught Barros.
And Doohan looks for the way up the inside, looks for the inside line. Barros closes the door on him. Doohan tried to go inside the Brazilian then, and now squirts up the hill to have another look almost alongside. But in fact, Mick's got basically a choice here. He can try and get in front of Barros, or he can pressure him. Historically, Barros does make mistakes under pressure.
Each time, though, I don't think that Barros got a look at the wheel. He did pull close enough to get him in his peripheral vision, but not enough where I think Barros saw him.
And we've been looking at a 2 or 4 bike battle for the lead, but this could get even more exciting because Luca Cadalora is closing in on Kevin Schwantz back in 4th place.
Well, as we watch this tremendous battle of that 170 horsepower per bike that Steve talked about, for Americans out there that resist the metric system, and there's plenty of them, about 240 million, 500 cc's translates to about 38 cubic inches. That kind of horsepower out of that tiny, tiny little motor due to the high-tech two-stroke technology.
Like to have that on your weed eater, wouldn't you, Steve?
Yeah, it's only about 5 cc's bigger than a weed eater. No, it's not. I got cubic inches and cc's mixed up. Back to my, let's see, is that a metric adjustable wrench or an English one? Or does it matter?
And so Alex Barros, the Brazilian, number 9, still leads on the Lucky Strike Suzuki from the blue and white Rothmans Honda of Mick Doohan. Doohan looking for another. He had a look here last lap. He's more sure of it this time. Inside, Barros gives him no room. Tries to hold the line on the way out, but Doohan's done it. Doohan takes the lead again.
This guy's still not using all the racetrack through there. There was plenty of room. Doohan with a nice clean pass there, but Alex Barros tried to close him off. But this Honda just out-accelerates up the hill into the corkscrew.
Now Doohan definitely, I know Doohan's going to want to go away from Barros. I have no doubt in my mind about that. He is not going to be happy with the Brazilian sitting on his tail. These two have said a couple of words to each other, you know, either between themselves or through the press this year. Doohan described Barros as a little bit crazy, but then it was in fact Doohan who overbraked at the British Grand Prix, cannoned into Barros and knocked down Kevin Schwantz. It was actually the Australian who made the mistake on that occasion.
Sometimes it's best to let your words speak on the racetrack.
Well, Doohan's exuded quiet confidence this whole weekend. That big off that he had late yesterday afternoon didn't seem to upset him much. Hopped off the asphalt, walked around, signed autographs, shook hands, came back, gave interviews as if he wasn't the least bit bothered by what had just happened, that it hadn't ruined his chances of winning the U.S. Grand Prix. 16 of 33 laps complete. We'll be right back. There's the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. Turns 8, 8A, and 9, and that demon drop down to turn number 9. And there's your leader, Mick Doohan, and Alex Barros in second. Now, both of them have backed the pace off just a bit. When Doohan caught Barros, he was running a minute 27 flat, and they've eased back about half a second from that pace.
But I've got my eye on Luca Cadalora in 4th place. There goes Doohan, the leader, from Barros. Kaczynski in 3rd, but Cadalora has been working his way up on them from in 4th place. He's already passed Kevin Schwantz, and I think he's closing on the leading trio.
Cadalora on the number 7 Marlboro Yamaha, teammate to Wayne Rainey. It's the Kenny Roberts-led team. And here are the two leaders.
And it's definitely Cadalora. He's the man on form. He's got a couple of wins and a second out of the last 3 races. But it's still Mick Doohan that leads on the Rothmans Honda from the Suzuki of Alex Barros. Kaczynski, and there is number 7, Luca Cadalora, on the red and white bike in 4th place, closing all the time on Kaczynski and the 2 in front.
Well, they talk about parity in other forms of racing, but here, you have Honda, Suzuki, Kaczynski, and Yamaha in the first 4 positions.
And the other thing is that Luca Cadalora, he's the only guy in this lead group using Dunlops. Now, Ski, what do you reckon? The Dunlops, in fact, going to last a distance better than the Michelins this time.
It's a hard call to make. These guys are consistently going faster. The leader's turning in the mid-27s. Cadalora upping the pace here a little bit. But I think both products right now are capable of lasting the distance. It's a matter of who's the smoothest on them.
Kevin Schwantz has backed off to a comfortable 5th, and his race pace right now is about 0.4 of a second behind that of the 4 leaders.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but isn't this Honda pretty brutal on that rear tire?
It certainly historically was true that the Honda was the most brutal thing on the racetrack for the tires, but since they brought out this Big Bang, what they call a Big Bang engine, where they changed the firing order, and that actually allowed the tire an easier life, and Honda were the first people to do it, and now that's been copied by Suzuki, Yamaha, and Kaczynski. So all the motorcycle manufacturers have made the tire company's life just that little bit easier recently. Having said that, of course, as soon as the rider realizes that the tire's having a bit of an easier time, he gets on the wick harder and abuses it even more.
That'd be the first thing that would cross my mind. I think even so, though, the Honda being the single crankshaft allows the power a little bit more abruptly to the rear tires than the contra-rotating crankshafts in both Suzuki, Yamaha, and Kaczynski.
Again tries to pressure Doohan. He'll have got the pit board to tell him that Kaczynski is closing, and maybe even to tell him that Cadalora is coming along, so he knows he cannot leave it to a last lap effort to get past Doohan, and they're closing up on tail enders. Number 2, Mick Doohan, leads on the Rothmans Honda, and that is Andrew Stroud, I believe. Yes, Stroud, who's crashed the Harris Yamaha. He's walked away from that one. Andrew, quite well known in America for riding a Ducati Superbike and various Superbike endurance machines, but I'm afraid he's out of this one. Doohan still leads from Barros.
Let's have another look at what happened to Andrew Stroud.
Oh, no. I think he might have seized the motor going into turn 2. Rear end snaps around and high sides him. Andrew, a big man, though, he opened up his legs and let the bike sort of fling underneath him instead of letting it catapult him into the air. Tough luck for Andrew, but looks as though he'll be back.
They've had a run of mechanical problems with that team, Andrew and Sean Emmett. Unlucky day for Andrew.
Tough situation there to be able to try to catch a seizure by pulling in the clutch. Andrew all bent down going into the corner, and the thing just snapped on him too quick.
Barros up the inside.
Not that time.
Doohan saws him off in 8A.
And Kaczynski's right on their tail as they close up on the tail enders. Kaczynski closing in on Barros, and that's 3-4 tail enders ahead.
Look from our Taco Bell aerial platform as they come down to this very tight turn number 11 that leads onto the longest straightaway here.
First gear corner for most riders, now accelerating up. Some of them only using 5 of their 6 gears as they reach sort of 165, 170 miles an hour over the brow.
We'll see how this lap traffic plays a role for Mick Doohan. He slices underneath 1 in turn 2.
He's gone underneath Navo. Takes another one, no problem there. About to go after Tom Udegawa, the Japanese privateer, gets past Udegawa. But Barros having a little bit harder time of it. And Doohan really taking advantage of the situation. He now has Sean Emmett ahead of him.
Now you'll see blue flags waving from all the corner stations indicating that a faster rider is coming up to pass you. But what those lappers don't know is how many fast riders they are. They know the leader is there, but may not know that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are right there in hot pursuit, and they go right back online after Doohan goes past.
Sean Emmett there taking a look over his shoulder, allowing Mick Doohan to go through.
Barros has to go up the inside on the way into the corkscrew, but he knows how to do that.
Yeah.
And the lappers have spread the leaders out just a bit. Barros now bearing down on Mick Doohan once again. Kaczynski is still split from the first 2 by 1 lap motorcycle.
And I think unluckiest man, perhaps Luca Cadalora. There's number 3, John Kaczynski in 3rd place, but Luca lost a bit of ground there passing the slower men.
Let's check with Steve.
Well, Mike Doohan's Honda out there is different than every other motorcycle in one way. Normally, you control the rear brake with your foot on every other motorcycle. Well, when Doohan came back after a very painful broken leg, he couldn't really brake with his foot. So on the left side here, this is the clutch lever. That's always there. See this other little aluminum lever? That is the rear brake. He doesn't have to use it all that much because most of the braking on these machines is accomplished on the front. Right, David?
That's right. I think he's down to about 10% the range of movement in that ankle, and this is what he had to do to get back up to form.
And one of the reasons that Mick Doohan knows how to use his son like that is he spends a lot of time riding jet skis. And his jet ski throttle is just like that. So it wasn't, you know, it was a fairly quick adaptation for Mick.
Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. You mean British jet skis have the throttle on the left?
What? He knows how to use it.
Yeah,
but he told me.
I wonder you got to ride your jet ski on the wrong side of the lake compared to here.
I thought you were going another direction there, Mike. You got to push the throttle to slow down on those jet skis.
Yeah, right.
Point well taken, Peter.
Now all the back markers are out of the way, and Kaczynski number 3 hones in again on Alex Barros and Mick Doohan. Behind, Luca Catalora has now got away from those tail enders too, so he's got clear road ahead of him.
Kevin Schwantz is 5th. Daryl Beatty is running in 6th. Shinichi Ito riding 7th. Crevier is 8th. Mackenzie 9th, and Reynolds 10th.
Look back here at the number 7 of Catalora and the 29 is Sean Evans. He's got a riding lesson as these leaders went by, and he's actually hanging with him on a privateer Harris Yamaha.
There's Emmett with that yellow number plate. Behind Catalora, 1 lap down to the race leaders.
Interesting point on that Harris Yamaha, sponsored by Shell. It's just the only team out here using unleaded fuel. And that's going to be a rule change that'll be adopted in 1994. And these guys are trying to get a jump on it, right?
The wave of the future. It's the way of the roadways now. And it is coming to many forms of racing. Just as quickly as the petroleum companies can gear up for it. Mick Doohan got a break in traffic. The blue flagging, very good here by the Stramp and USGP volunteers. Many of them SCCA corner workers from the road races, the auto races held here. Blue flagging those slower riders, Doohan getting the advantage, but the traffic separating him from Barros and Kaczynski just a bit. First, second, third, and we'll pick up Luca Catalora in 4th.
Now, Dave, Luca was doing a great job of catching the leading trio until he hit those tail enders. Do you think that's lost him the momentum? Can he pick it up again?
I think he can, yes. And I think he enjoys a great benefit here, being Wayne Rainey's teammate and being able to collect all the data that Wayne has got here from testing and apply it to Luca's bike. I think that's why he's able to run up front with these guys.
Luca Catalora, number 7, double 250cc world champion. 250cc winner here. Chasing still the leader, Mick Doohan. Kaczynski on the red machine closes up on the number 9 bike of Alex Barros. Kaczynski having another go at the Brazilian.
You were right, Peter. Mick Doohan does not want to be riding too close to Alex Barros. After some of the incidents this year, Barros just 22 years old.
What do they say? There are old riders and there are bold riders, but there are no old bold riders. Well, experience and treachery will overcome youth and enthusiasm in many cases. We'll see.
Kaczynski on the 3 Kajiva now right behind Barros. Right on his tail. Is he going to look up the inside into turn 11? He's close enough, isn't he, Dave?
I think he might try it on the inside, but no, Barros moved it over quite a bit on him. And he does. He pulls it off. Good move by John Kaczynski.
But it's Barros who gets the drive. He's probably going to get alongside. No, the Kajiva not looking pretty strong there. Manages to hold the advantage for Kaczynski. Kaczynski holds on a second.
Kaczynski looking real strong there. He had that throttle wide open before the apex because he knew his bike suffers on acceleration, but he was able to crack it wide open and stay ahead of Luca. Excuse me, Alex.
And Mick Doohan up front has just set the fastest lap of the race, the first lap of the day, in the 26s, minute 26.87. Extending his lead as Kaczynski and Barros fought side by side for second.
It's almost as though Kaczynski sensed that Doohan was putting up the pace, and he knows that if he's going to win this Grand Prix, he can't let the Australian get more than a couple of seconds ahead.
You see the distance now from Doohan back to Kaczynski. And Barros in third. Cadalora is fourth. Kevin Schwantz is fifth. Darrell Beatty, Ito, Crevier, and Mackenzie, the top 9. 8 laps to go. The 125cc race will follow, so still plenty to come here from Laguna Seca. Stay with us on Prime Network. We'll be right back. Popular yachting spot just off the Monterey Peninsula here. The harbor inlet between the wharf and Cannery Row. Side of the United States Motorcycle Grand Prix here on Prime Network. 27 of 33 laps completed around this twisting 11-turn 2.2-mile road race course. Carved out of the hills alongside Fort Ord Military Base near Monterey, California. Mick Doohan, the Australian on the Rothmans Honda, has fastest lap of the race and has the lead by 2.6 seconds over John Kaczynski on the Kajiva. Alex Barros, Suzuki mounted, is third. Cadalora on the Yamaha fourth, and Schwantz fifth. Trouble.
Doohan is down. Doohan down, coming out for the corkscrew. Incredible moment. He looked okay. He ran very, very wide coming down the corkscrew. Do you think he hit another neutral or something, Dave?
Yeah, it looks like the bike wouldn't steer. And he may have re-injured his foot here. He can't get up and get off out of the way. Just a tragic accident for Mick Doohan.
What a heartbreaker for the race leader.
The only thing I can think of, Peter, is that he may have gotten crossed up coming off the corkscrew, and the clamp on the steering dampener possibly turned, and it wouldn't allow the bike to turn.
Kaczynski now leads the U.S. Grand Prix from Alex Barros and Luca Cadalora.
Mick Doohan trying to become the first non-American to win a 500cc Grand Prix at Laguna Seca off the bike, and John Kaczynski, trying to avenge a mid-race crash here 2 years ago, has put the Kajiva out front.
And Kaczynski knows that this is his moment. He's really on the power now. The back of the Kajiva squirming. He knows that the victory is in his grasp. He's just got to keep ahead of Barros and Cadalora, and he's going to throw his all at this.
Cadalora has a lapper to get by before he can clearly see Kaczynski, who came across the stripe last time with a 1.9-second lead. There's Barros battling, trying to get by McWilliams.
Now, I know John Kaczynski, and seeing this happen up to Mick Doohan, and he knows this race can be his if he maintains. But it's got him so excited right now. You'll watch. He'll spin that rear tire and start to show off. He's just the showman that he is. I just hope he can maintain to the finish.
A very flamboyant, mercurial rider, Kaczynski.
Of course, what we didn't see was Kaczynski going past Barros. I mean, do you wonder whether there wasn't some coming together between Barros and Doohan? I guess we're not going to find out until the end of the race.
Cadalora moves up to third. Kaczynski's lead now up to 2.8 seconds as Cadalora and Barros were blocked in traffic. Cadalora third on the Yamaha. Then a long gap back to fourth. Kevin Schwantz. Beatty in fifth.
You know that Italy doesn't have a king, but if John wins this one, he'll be king of Italy.
No doubt. John Kaczynski looks like he's really got his head down right now. He's concentrating on putting together a string of perfect laps if he possibly can.
I mean, we're talking about a country that so follows its motorsport that if John Kaczynski wins this, he will literally become a household name in Italy, and that's tough perhaps for Americans to understand.
Something a boy in Little Rock, Arkansas growing up could never dream of.
Kaczynski cutting his teeth through the Roberts camp, though, and I think Kenny Roberts, a lot of what he knows has been translated into John Kaczynski's riding style and his track knowledge.
Michael Rudroff being lapped over, and there is Kaczynski on that blood-red Kajiva with the solid red body, the Usgp decal, and the solid white number. If it had four wheels, it would be a Grand Prix Ferrari. And in fact, there is a bit of linkage between Ferrari and Kajiva.
Yeah, there is. The Ferrari engineering, they do some of the work for Kajiva, and that's number 9, Alex Barros, chasing number 3, John Kaczynski. And the Castiglione brothers, who own the Kajiva company, they're so enthusiastic. They pour everything, including millions and millions of dollars, into this sport. And when Kaczynski came up at the middle of the season and they could get hold of him, Claudio Castiglione said, well, if I spend $15 million a year or $18 million a year, it's not so much different, and he bought Kaczynski.
And there he is, the man who leads this and attempts to keep the American rider string of victories in this event intact. And Barros continues to be frustrated by traffic.
Yeah, Barros having a hard time getting past Rudroff, one of the privateers. That's Jose Kuhn in your picture. Barros goes inside Rudroff. Number 9, Alex Barros in second place. But Kaczynski still leads and is making good use of the back markers.
Let's show you what happened to race leader Mick Doohan, the Australian on the Rothmans Honda, as he came down the corkscrew.
Well, he's way wide there, Mike. And I got to think that there's some steering problem where he just carried too much speed into there. He clips the hay bale, it grabs the handlebar, sends him back careening across the racetrack. He hit his head really hard right there, and I know that's got to have rang his bell, and that's why he sort of sat there delirious.
Now, just to clear up that point, Alex Barros was absolutely nothing to do with that accident. You can see him coming through the picture now. Kaczynski had already passed him. Doohan was completely on his own when that happened.
Now, I didn't see any lappers in the picture at the point where we pick up the action, so apparently something happened to the motorcycle.
Corner workers did a great job of clearing that motorcycle out of the way. I think there goes John Kaczynski. I think he's showboating here a little bit, and I just hope that he does not do that too much.
He's extending his lead now, 4.4 seconds last time by, with 2 laps to go.
The hardest thing for the youngster here is going to be able to maintain a comfortable pace to the finish. He does have a pretty good sizable lead right now. The pit board showing him that he has that lead, and he just needs to consistently put together these last string of laps and win the race.
There's Barros in second. It's another 3 seconds back to Catalora in third, and then 8 more seconds back to Kevin Schwan.
And I think Barros at this point has probably realized that there isn't a great deal he can do about it. He's got these tail enders to pass all the time. He just can't put a straight lap together.
Kaczynski's circulating right now a full second off his qualifying time. No doubt he's comfortable there.
Barros trying to reel in Kaczynski, but Don's last lap was 7/10 of a second faster than Alex Barros, in part due to traffic. 1 lap to go.
Kaczynski waves to his crew and says, boys, I got this one in the bag if you did your job right.
An unbelievable ride for Kaczynski. You can hear the crowd as they salute him on this final lap.
Just keep it on 2 wheels, little John, will you?
You may not be able to buy a Kajiva in the US, but Kajiva and Ducati are the one on the same company. So there's going to be celebrating all around the place with Ducati fans, I'm sure, if Kaczynski wins this one.
Kaczynski up to turn 5. Barros coming past 4 at that moment. There's second place, Alex Barros, who's had a fine ride.
Yes, and if John wins this one, it's going to be the first clear victory for Kajiva. Eddie Lawson won for them on the wet and dry race in Europe last year, but this really is going to be a fantastic victory for Kajiva. No argument about this one, no detraction. It's a clear, straight win.
John Kaczynski rolls down the hill. A winner here in the 250cc race in 1990. The crew awaits him on the front straightaway. Down to turn 11.
He's coasting, Mike. He knows he has it won.
And John Kaczynski keeps the string intact, and he wins the U.S. Motorcycle Grand Prix for 500cc machine, following Eddie Lawson and 3-time winner Wayne Rainey to the victory podium.
Barros crosses the line to clinch second place, where Catalora takes third on the Yamaha, but John Kaczynski, there's all the Kajiva crew, of course, wonderfully pleased with things, absolutely fabulous. And John Kaczynski up on the footrest, salutes the crowd go absolutely wild. They love it.
A tremendous ride, and what a heartbreaker for Mick Doohan. There's the congratulations, as John Kaczynski has won the U.S. Grand Prix. Lots more racing to come here at Laguna. Stay with us. given Kaczynski its first dry track Grand Prix win and kept the U.S. Grand Prix trophy in his homeland for the 5th straight time. Steve Evans will be with the winner after he gets unbuckled. A great ride for Kaczynski, but a tough break for Mick Doohan. We'll try to get an update on Doohan's fall at the corkscrew. But there is one happy young man.
John Giacomo Agostini, team boss for Kaczynski.
And the all-time Grand Prix winner. He says, you don't look so tired.
That's going to be adrenaline, Dave, isn't it? You don't look so tired. Who needs tired?
Yeah.
Here's a look at the finish. Kaczynski, the winner on Kaczynski. Barros finishing up second on Suzuki. Catalora, the Yamaha, third. Kevin Schwantz, Suzuki, fourth. Beatty's Honda finishing in fifth. Shinichi Ito on a Honda is sixth. Seventh, Alex Crevier on a Honda. Finishing up in eighth is Niall Mackenzie, and that's the Valvoline Yamaha. Ninth went to John Reynolds, Yamaha mounted, and 10th, also on a Yamaha, Juan Lopez Mella. Mick Doohan's bike being rolled back to the paddock area, and stay with us because the 125cc World Championship round will be next.
Come here. Watch your step.
John has worked so hard to get to this level of racing. When he left the country here, little skinny guy out of Arkansas, I got to look at him the other day here with a t-shirt on. This guy's been pounding the weights and just totally improving his physical condition so he can run up front, get off the bike without being tired.
We'll get to John in a moment. Right now, let's visit with the new world champion. Here's Terry Vance.
Oh, thanks, Mike. We're down here in the pits, and although Kevin Schwantz did not end up on the podium for today, he is still the world champion, and it's always nice to talk to him. Kevin, tell us what happened out there.
Well, I got a really good start. I stayed behind Mick and John for a couple of laps, and I felt like Lucky Strike Suzuki was really working well. So I put my head down and pulled out a little gap on him. Felt like I was just going to be able to set sail, and I was still having some circulation problems with my hand, and that's what held me back. I was having to do a couple of laps slow, and then I could get my head down for a couple of laps. But you have to keep your head down and ride a whole race to be able to finish up there on the rostrum.
Yeah, it looked like you guys were banging elbows right at first, Kevin, but I didn't know whether you'd say, hey, I'm going to bang elbows with these guys for 33 laps, or if you were just going to say, I'm going to let them go, I'm the world champion now.
Well, I sure wanted to ride the whole race. I wanted to stay out there and just see what happened. I felt like in the beginning I could keep myself close in the race, and the hand just got worse and worse, and I just had to let those guys go and try and finish.
Well, thanks, Kevin. I'll tell you, everybody was cheering for you every lap, and it's really great to see you be the world champion. We'll look for you next year here at the USGP.
Thanks a lot, Terry.
Schwantz's margin over Mick Doohan now extends to nearly 100 points. Wayne Rainey is second in the championship points. Will finish in that position. Doug Chandler had ridden well up in the top 10, and we're going to show you what happened to Doug here as he got off the bike about midpoint in the event. But Chandler from nearby, well, he's from Salinas, but he lives in a motorhome here at the racetrack. But here's what happened from the onboard camera on the Kaczynski.
Kaczynski's teammate on the other Kaczynski. Looks like he's got a front end tuck about to happen here. It's plowing. And there it goes. The rear end snaps around. Doug bails off. I don't think he got hurt, though, folks.
Kaczynski honored with the American National Anthem, winner of the 500cc round of the U.S. Motorcycle Grand Prix here. Steve Evans will have a word with him momentarily. Alexander Barros finishing second, Luca Catalora third, Kevin Schwantz fourth, Daryl Beatty winding up fifth, and the 125cc machines about to be pushed out to the grid for their championship round. There's Catalora nearest the camera. Giacomo Agostini, 15-time world champion. Leader of that Kajiva team.
I don't think anybody will ever catch that man in Grand Prix victories.
And here are the new point standings as the champagne shower begins. Schwantz 232, Wayne Rainey 214, Mick Doohan and Daryl Beatty now tied for third, and Luca Catalora in fourth. Well, I wonder if that dampened Steve's camera. Guess not. How about it, Steve? Are you soaked?
Well, not yet. You know, I'd be afraid to take these guys to a nice restaurant and order a bottle of champagne. Prefer a force of habit than spray the joint down. But I'll tell you, this Californian, transplanted Californian, this habit, you were having so much fun those last 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, it was real interesting. You know, as I say, 33 laps around Laguna Seca is a lot, and boy, one small mistake, you pay a big price. But I tell you, this morning when I woke up, you know, I know my friend Wayne Rainey has won here so many times, and he was with me on the motorcycle. I felt him there, and just giving me the instruction. I just listened to what he had to say and pulled us through, and sure would like to thank him, and I sure wish he was here.
Well said. What went through your mind when you saw Mick down in the corkscrew?
Well, I think at one point things started to settle in, and once I got around Alex, I started to catch up to him, and I think he, you know, tried to step the pace up, and I just come over the top of the corkscrew and seen him hanging off the side of the bike, and he was still going when I got there, but got into the hay bales and actually come back out on the track, and I nearly collected him as I went past, so it was, I'm just glad I wasn't involved. And
again, congratulations.
Great, and also to Kajiva, great job.
Okay, Mike.
Kaczynski was Wayne Rainey's teammate on the Roberts Marlboro Yamaha team the last time the USGP was here. Yamaha leads the manufacturer's championship over Suzuki, Honda, and Kajiva. 17-mile drive surrounds most of the Monterey Peninsula. Lots of heavy crashing surf and those unique California cypress trees. Welcome back to the U.S. Motorcycle Grand Prix. I'm Mike Joy alongside Peter Clifford, Dave Sadowski, Terry Vance, and Steve Evans are on pit road today. Once again, your top 5 in the 500cc race. John Kaczynski, the American, wins it. Keeps that string alive. Alex Barros, Luca Catalora, Kevin Schwantz, and Daryl Beatty. On their sighting lap now are the 125cc machines. 250cc results. Caparossi takes over the point lead. Romboni, Reggiani, Puig, and Harada, who came here as the point leader, and leaves the U.S. Grand Prix in second place in the championship standings with 1 race to go. Next up, as you look down the start-finish straight, the 125cc machines. And these are not the mighty mites you would think, comparing their engines only 1/4